Hello YouTubers, it's me again, just doing a quick update on my system here. That was one of my last updated homemade panels right there. It's kind of chunky and I don't build them like that no more. It still puts out about 4 amps. It used to put out about 7.5, and I expect it to go deteriorate pretty steadily, but I still use it because it still puts out. They're made of 6x6 cells, and it gives me roughly about 70 watts, give or take. Over here, I took an old satellite dish bracket there and made my own little stand here. And on top I have another homemade panel that I use making, out of 40 cells with a steel guard. Here I got a 10 watt right here and a 5 watt right here. Up there I have a solar motion light. That all runs, with different cables right in the house. It's a little bit of material, kind of redneck style, but I was on a budget. Here I have one of them sets you get from Harbor Freight, the 45 watt little setups, and that goes together with, well, you can't really see it from here, but I have up there at the very top on either side is two 60 watt panels. In the middle is a 75 watt. The next row is a 60 watt panel, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's 3 10 watts in between the top and bottom row right there. On this bottom corner I have another homemade panel that I made. It's another 40 cell panel. In the middle we got another amorphous cell or whatever, kind of like the Harbor Freight ones. I bought that one by itself. And over here a 60 watt panel. They all come down into this homemade junction box that I have, as far as that one and everything on this rack up above me. They go through the pipe and into the house. Now, one of these days I'm going to get out here and I'm going to rearrange everything, correctly and get it all situated and all that good stuff, but I'm lazy and I haven't got around to it yet. I'm going to go in and take a quick look at what I've done. This is basically an off-grid system, and I didn't adjust, because I'm not an electrician, I didn't mess with any of the internal wiring to the place, but I did add extra conduit, that runs, and basically all the lighting in the place you can either use a switch, switch on the wall, use your normal regular lights, or you can use either or. I use this plug. It's on a separate breaker, or plugged than everything else. It goes to the refrigerator. Whenever I got enough power, I do both. And this goes down to the hallway, and some lighting for the hallway, and it goes through the wall there. There's some more lighting here for utilitarian purposes. It comes through the wall here into the bathroom. You got a light for the shower, a light for brushing your teeth or whatever. But anyway, it comes through the wall, and instead of me buying individual wires and have you from various lines, I went the easy way and just bought heavy duty extension cords. Well, most of them are heavy duty. This one right here, which runs to the very front where you seen that first plug that I showed you, that powers the TV, satellite dish, the lights in the front part of the place, and that comes to the 700 watt inverter. The TV is constantly on free energy. TV, the satellite dish, or DVR, and this little extra plug that they gave me for high definition. I don't know what the heck it is, but that all runs pretty much 24 hours a day. And this cord goes to the 5 sockets that I have for the back part of the place. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting the 2 in there. And, this was 14 gauge wire, and this is, only 16, your standard orange cable or whatever. Like I said, I went the lazy way around it. That plug I showed you for the refrigerator is this one. I think this is 10 gauge extension cord, which used to be a heavy duty one. I stripped off the yellow coating on the outside just so it would slide through the thing easier. And this is my 1500 watt inverter, which this plug goes to the one beside the refrigerator. This one I use occasionally when we're washing clothes. It's just kind of draped down all ghetto-fied or whatever have you. But when we got enough power in the battery banks, we can wash clothes for free, or just plug the washing machine back to the wall. But that don't stay on all the time. That only uses whenever, we got a good day. This is a Harbor Freight thing, which we got about 13 volts right now, and it's about 12 o'clock, give or take. So, like I said, this one stays on all the time, and whenever that gets up, to a good 14, a nice good charge, or if it's early in the morning and it's already charged, then I go ahead and flip this on, plug the refrigerator to it, and run the refrigerator for a couple of days. Usually, I try not to let it get down to about 11.7, something like that. If I, think about it, then I'll turn off the refrigerator, and, that way I still got enough power to the next shiny day for my TV and stuff, so it can stay constantly on, and all my lighting. Very rarely do I unplug this cable right here, which, DVRs have to boot up like a computer or whatever, so I leave that plugged up. Alright, now, power coming in. All the stuff you've seen on that big bracket out there comes in through this charge controller. It's a Well-C or whatever, 60 amp charge controller. And I paid a good little penny for it, $150 or so. It's kind of cheap as far as those type of controllers go. Works great, does its job, except for one thing. Whenever the charge light turns off, it does not cut power to the thing. So basically, it does the stepping up and off stepping down of the voltage like it's supposed to, but it's messed up and it doesn't turn off the voltage. So that's another reason why I use the refrigerator. Whenever the voltage gets high, I try to hurry up and burn off enough voltage so the next day I won't overcharge my system. Now the two homemade ones, not the big one that's losing power, but the two I made out of Silguard, those, because I use 40 cells instead of 36, they run at a higher voltage, which that's perfect for a charge controller like this, because it takes that higher voltage and steps it back down. So I have the two on there, on this one, and it throws out a pretty good bit, enough to where it heats up my wires too much. Those are pretty much all 10 gauge wires, you see. I have a little switch there. It's my ghetto-fied way of checking my amperage going into my batteries. What I do is I put my amp meter, one here, my two things, and then flip the switch down, and that lets the electricity go through the amp meter as opposed to switch, and I get a quick reading without having to take any wires off. Oh, cat, get down. Bad cat. And same thing here. Now, the two little ones I have on the pole with the big one out there, I don't know, you can't see it. Yeah, that has one of the 60-watt homemade ones and the 5 and 10-watt. That was just a temporary fix. It's actually what's running to this charge controller. Nothing special. That big one out there that I was talking about deteriorating, that's not even on a charge controller. I wanted to get all the homemade ones together, but it was only made with 36 cells, and I didn't want it to interfere with this one and throw those off, so I just plugged it directly to this switch with a little diode there to keep backflow from happening. And I got so many batteries that overcharging on that particular thing isn't really worth worrying about. Also, the ones coming into here also have a wire plugged into the same side with the solar that runs to a fan, which keeps this charge controller cool. And whenever the sun goes down, of course, there's no power going into the charge controller, so it shuts the fan off. Here, I took all my broken solar cells while I was making them, made this geriatric panel, and that basically runs this little fan, which keeps this cool. Battery-wise, they're all in parallel. It looks like a whole nest of wires, but each one of them has their own 6-gauge set of battery wires that runs up to this is positive and this is negative bolt. That way there's the same distance from each battery running to the thing, so it pulls theoretically equally to either this one, which is plugged in the back, or the back of the bolt over here, and this one, which runs, and it is intermingled in here with all the other connectors. These are EverStart batteries, dual purpose, 125 amp hours each. I have 9 of them, so it's a little over 1,000, give or take, amp hours. I don't know exactly what that translates into, but for the most part, I mean, you know, if the batteries are completely